Thank you, Chairman Latta and Ranking Member Schakowsky and the rest of the committee for inviting us to share our perspective. I'm Bill Kuhns, President and co-founder of Vermont Energy Control Systems in Vermont. We're a small company and started based on an observation that may seem fairly mundane. Most things don't work the way they're supposed to. In fact, every building we've been in, we found out that the systems in that building may have been designed well, but they don't work well. And there's an enormous amount of energy, an enormous amount of value that's lost from systems just not working the way they're supposed to. So part of our mission is to provide an open source, non-proprietary solution that allows people to instrument and understand what's happening in the buildings and the systems that they own. In pursuit of that, I'd like to start by echoing the comments of Daniel Castro from the 2015 IoT event. Congress must avoid heavy-handed regulations that could stifle innovation. This is an area where innovation is really happening at a breakneck pace. Just as with the early internet, there's a lot of chaos. The potential benefits are enormous, but it's not clear exactly what's going to happen. It's important that we allow the evolution of this technology to proceed with as few barriers and impediments as possible. As a small business owner, I'm very much aware of the challenges that small businesses face. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the percentage of people employed by small businesses in the country has been in decline for decades, and the rate of small business startups has been in decline for more than 10 years. This is a problem in the IoT space because small businesses are much more able to move quickly and be agile and take advantage of opportunities. Every regulation, however well-intentioned, adds to the cost and risks of starting a business. Even more critically, it distracts the entrepreneur from focusing on the purpose of the business. You can't be innovating when you're filling out regulatory paperwork. This might be an expense for a big company, but it can be lethal for a small business. I'd like to give you just a simple example from my own experience. This is more on the economic side than on the IoT technology side. But this month we wanted to hire a part-time college intern this summer from the University of Vermont. We discovered that in Vermont, even though this will be our first actual payroll employee, we have to have workers' compensation insurance. For a big company in our industry, that might add 1 or 2% to payroll. For us, it added more than 10% to our payroll costs. And even more importantly, it took a day and a half of my time to figure out how to comply with that regulation. As we launch our IoT products, we have plenty of technology challenges and security challenges, other things we need to focus on. It's important that regulatory compliance does not add another layer of costs, delays, and uncertainty. A second issue that I want to touch on briefly is radio frequency spectrum. We're particularly interested in low frequencies that penetrate building structure. These frequencies don't support high data rates, they're not useful for cell phones or that sort of thing, but they work very well through structure, through walls and trees. In the US, there's only a small band available, and those frequencies are different from what's in use in the rest of the world. That means that if you buy a sensor that's built in Europe, it won't work in the United States, and it means that ours won't work there. It would be helpful to free up additional low-frequency spectrum for low-power devices. It would be crippling to sell rights to specific frequency bands at auction, as has been done in other portions of the frequency spectrum. Bandwidth is a finite public resource. Selling it to the highest bidder effectively shuts out small businesses. Finally, I'd like to touch on security. There's been some very good points made on security, and it's particularly near and dear to our hearts. There was a significant breach accomplished recently through a compromised building management system installed by one of our competitors. As a manufacturer in that space, that got our attention. We're very sensitive to that issue, and every connected device is a risk. If you can connect to it, so can an intruder. Physically, I live in a very safe area. I live on a dead-end road in Vermont, and it's wonderful. On the internet, I live in a high-crime district. We see literally hundreds of probes and connection attempts every day. It's exactly like having masked men coming around my house and trying to open the doors and windows. We're doing all we can to make sure the doors and windows are locked, but it's obvious to me there's no way we can continue to have new and innovative products without also introducing new vulnerabilities. We need to figure out a more effective strategy for protective measures, deterrence, and law enforcement in this area. And with that, I'm done. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for your